So I'm going to start out by saying New Orleans is hosting a record-tying 11 Super Bowls.
Yeah, right.
The only other city that's hosted as many is Miami.
And nobody likes Miami.
Yeah.
Well, fair enough.
Do they still have a football team?
Somebody must like Miami.
Well, the New Orleans Saints won the Super Bowl in Miami, so we're not we don't hate Miami.
There we
too
go.
much,
Me
right?
either. I love Miami. I don't know what anybody was saying.
Nonetheless, the city of New Orleans is built to host.
Yeah.
And we put on major special events better than any place else in the country, or just as good. We have our police department is world class. They are tolerant, and that's why we're able to do the things that we do.
Yeah.
And that's for me, who came from the police department, from the and I worked in the special events section for almost a decade. We do it better than anybody. And that is the reason why we're a city of less than 400,000 people that entertains almost 18 million visitors a year.
So, welcome to this episode. Hi, Dalton.
Hey, Jamie.
Today, and this is unusual for us. We get to be in a place that, well, as the episode progresses, you'll see why this is a special place to be. But we also get to be with Ross, who Dalton and I have had a long relationship with in the real-time center space. So, Ross, thank you, for being here on the podcast.
It's my pleasure.
And if you don't mind, so that folks know kind of who you are, if you can just tell them who you are, and then more specifically, a little bit about your crime center that we are sitting adjacent to right now in New Orleans.
Hello, my name is Ross Bourgeois, and I'm the Director of Public Safety Support for the City of New Orleans. And in that role, I manage, amongst other things, the city's 24/7 real-time crime center.
Yeah, and I know that this place opened was it 2017?
In November of 2017.
What was the nexus for it opening?
There was a surge of violent crime in the latter part of 2016 involving some college football games that were played here. And there was a groundswell from the hospitality community for the mayor at the time to take action. The mayor at that point worked on a collaborative partnership with the hospitality industry through the convention center district, which is a state entity to form a citywide public safety initiative. And that public safety initiative included, amongst other things, creation of what ended up becoming the city's real-time crime center.
Got you.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but the crime center itself is not actually part of the police department. Do I understand that correctly?
That is true.
It's very unique.
That is unique, and I believe we're the only center that does this type of work that falls outside of the organizational structure of the police department. And the main reason for that is the technology that we deploy is not unique to law enforcement, and it transcends all of the disciplines of public safety, whether that's assisting with root cause analysis for a fire, getting paramedics to their patients quicker during a major special event, or giving information to the city's emergency operations center about weather conditions or flooding. Obviously, we're a city that's built below sea level. We depend on a complicated series of pumps to keep us dry. So flooding is a definitive public safety issue. We also work with our sanitation department on illegal dumping enforcement and other quality of life issues. So by placing the real-time crime center in a standalone agency, it is in our DNA to take an all hazards approach.
And you started that way, right?
Yes.
From day one?
From day one.
It's interesting because you started in a position that I think a lot of centers are trying to get
them
in
there.
2025.
That's right.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's an interesting part to me is when you look at just technology in general as it related to law enforcement, right? We started with a bunch of different things, but LPR technology was something that all of us thought we got to have LPR technology. Well, now that's police department, right? And so then it just pigeonholed the scaling of technology stacks into, well, that's all police service stuff, right? Where in reality, if you have drones and you have a natural disaster and you have a drone that's able to go out and assess scenes where you don't have to necessarily send humans to do, you start to hit the all hazards approach. And so the fact that you guys started there, I mean, it was intentional. So you didn't just accidentally start there. It was intentional, right? That you guys
Absolutely.
were going to, and so that, it's interesting.
And look, we're a city that is more susceptible to natural disasters than almost anywhere else in the country.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's wild to me because like Dalton said, we're trying to get there in the industry where you guys started there 8 years ago, right? And so it's a very interesting dynamic there.
We spend 50% of our year in hurricane season. Starts on June 1st.
Yeah.
And runs until December 1st.
Yeah. Yeah.
So unpack that for me. Like, what exactly are the responsibilities that you guys take in there in regards to that type of operation? Is it mainly camera watching? Is it,
Well, to the extent that we have power
Right.
in the city, we're able to provide that real-time information about what's going on the ground, whether that's flooding conditions, whether that's severe wind, or whatever else is going on. So we're able to provide that information to those decision makers, whether that's public works because we're seeing that catch basins are not draining properly, or whether that's the fire department because we're seeing evidence of a building collapse, or whatever the casualty du jour is.
Yeah. When you talk about New Orleans in general, right? If you're outside of probably the state of Louisiana and you say the word New Orleans, you think party. I'll tell you, each time I've come here, that's been what it is, right? I've come here for purposes of there's
Partying?
an event,
'Cause you're a
right?
party
I'm
animal?
a party animal.
This is
Man.
all you wanna do?
That's me. I'm coming here for purposes of an event, right? And so if I'm here for this weekend, right? This weekend we're here for because of the Super Bowl, right? Very large event that you guys are hosting. From what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong on these numbers, but 370-ish thousand residents for the city itself of New Orleans.
Yes.
Right, but you guys have generally a swell above 1 million folks during these large events. Is that about right?
Well, quite frankly, we swell on any given weekday to just shy of a million inhabitants with people just coming to work.
Yeah, I just want that to sink in for everybody listening, right? 75% of the people in the city on any given day or more, they don't live here.
That has
right?
such unique issues with the police department. People just come in and want to commit whatever crimes they want to commit because they feel like it because they're out of town. Is that something like do y'all see?
Absolutely, but more importantly, to a city that's south of 400,000 residents, we host last year almost 18 million visitors in the course of a year. So find me another city that has less than 400,000 people that is a world-class city that entertains 18 million visitors a year.
Yeah, and you know what's funny about it? So we'll get into a topic. It's a hot button topic, right? Everywhere we go, Big Brother, surveillance, all this other stuff, right? But if you are a visitor here, and this is before anything's ever happened that's bad. If you're a visitor here and you're walking down the street, most normal people don't look up and see camera and go, "Oh my God, I can't believe somebody's watching me." Right? Most normal people would look up, and if they happen to look up and happen to see a camera, would probably think, "I'm glad somebody's watching me." Right? It's a unique,
especially
dynamic.
a tourist.
Yeah, and I don't know that you find that in every city. And
we have enjoyed almost since the day we opened our doors a tremendous amount of community support. The vast majority of the folks that live here and visit here want to see our technology. They feel safe.
Yeah.
When our staff goes out and installs cameras in neighborhoods, it's the little old lady that comes down from her balcony and talks to our tech staff with tears in her eyes.
That's right.
Thanking them for making her neighborhood safer. When folks tell you that instead of catching the bus at the closest bus stop, they walk a block and a half because there's a camera a block and a half away at that bus stop. That tells you that the people,
quality of life, right?
Whether real or perceived, it makes people feel safe. And when people feel safe, it transcends, and it's the broken windows theory in reverse.
Yeah, right. It's interesting to me because when you have a crime center and your crime center also, unlike many, but some do it this way, you're building your cameras in-house, right? You're doing
for the
these
most part,
things.
yes.
Yeah. Your crime center literally is an emergency management crime center, right? In the sense that those cameras aren't there just to catch crime. Those cameras literally are there for what you already talked about, right? You have flooding, you want to see what's flooded, what's going on. It's there for protection of life during a fire, whatever it might be. And it's genuine. So if you guys as a city run out to your constituency and say, our system, our infrastructure is there to protect your lives, not just in crime situations, that's a genuine statement.
Absolutely. And there's a reason we call them public safety cameras. We talk about this is a security and a public safety system.
Yeah.
What we don't do is surveil our residents or our visitors.
Right. Yeah. Big difference, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's kind of it's kind of cool. So tell me about this particular event that you guys have this weekend, as far as, because let me go back. You guys have so many what other cities would consider large-scale events that this one is a little bit different in the sense that you're probably having to staff up a little bit more than you would just for a general football game or a general concert.
Yeah, especially with the presidential visit in the
Yeah,
middle of it as well.
absolutely.
Yeah. So how does this event look in your center? What have you guys had to do?
So I'm going to start out by saying New Orleans is hosting a record-tying 11 Super Bowls.
Yeah. Right.
The only other city that's hosted as many is Miami.
And nobody likes Miami.
Yeah.
Well,
fair enough.
Do they
somebody
still have a
must.
football team?
Somebody must like Miami.
Well, the New Orleans Saints won the Super Bowl in Miami, so we don't hate Miami.
there we
too
go.
much,
Me
right?
either. I love Miami. I don't know what anybody was saying.
Nonetheless, the city of New Orleans is built to host,
Yeah.
and we put on major special events better than any place else in the country, or just as good. We have our police department is world class. They are tolerant, and that's why we're able to do the things that we do.
Yeah.
And that's for me, who came from the police department, from the and I worked in the special events section for almost a decade. We do it better than anybody, and that is the reason why we're a city of less than 400,000 people that entertains almost 18 million visitors a year.
I imagine it's a muscle that you're constantly working out, right?
Absolutely.
So you get, an event like this with this game, and it's just another day, really. I mean, even though it's bigger and there's more people, planning for events like this is something you do every weekend, probably.
We're a city of less than 400,000 people that host over 18 million visitors a year. It's because we do it better than anybody else. Yeah. And our collaboration and our partnership with our neighbors, with our state and federal partners, is just as good as it is or better than anywhere else, because none of us can do it alone, because we're a small southern city.
Yeah.
And we're not a New York with 40,000 officers, or an LA, or all of these other cities that we compete against for Super Bowls.
Yeah.
We're a small southern city.
Yeah, and for those that are watching this, there's things I learned, and I was lucky enough to be able to join. You guys are hosting the visiting public safety officials that for the Super Bowls that they are hosting in the next couple of years, and I was lucky enough to be able to kind of be at the side of some of that this week to really learn about the preparation, the planning that you guys have to go into in order to do this. And one thing I learned was you guys have a statewide radio system here in Louisiana.
We
where
do.
No matter where I get mutual aid from, I know that they can find that channel eventually and get over here to the right place and do that. And so I highlight that because when you talk about that collaborative effort between the PD, between fire, between emergency management, Louisiana lives that.
Absolutely. None of us can do it alone.
Yeah, and that's something. I mean, it's unique, right? I've sent dispatchers back in my prior life up to fire scenes to do tactical dispatching, mutual aid requests, and we send officers up there from everywhere. And radio communications has always been one of the major issues, right? And it just isn't a thing. I mean, it's still a thing, right? People, if you don't know where that channel's at, you better remember. But
yeah, the Louisiana Wireless Information Network is our statewide radio system that covers every inch of the state. We have 95% coverage on street, and the only area we don't have a whole lot of coverage is in the Casualty National Forest, right in the middle of Louisiana. There's not a whole lot of things going on in that forest.
Gators. But gators in there a bit.
Yeah, perhaps.
there's protection.
So that system is available to every state, local, and federal agency doing business in Louisiana. So it's robust. Fortunately, that is another thing that kind of falls in my wheelhouse is our participation in the LWIN system as well as a radio system that we own here in the city. So that communications falls under our umbrella here.
Yeah.
But getting back to the center, our preparations began a year and a half or longer ago with adding some infrastructure around the Superdome, adding some infrastructure in the French Quarter. We're on virtually every corner in the French Quarter in the downtown area. So making sure that our hospitality zone, where the majority of our visitors come, is well equipped, and we've got plenty of coverage downtown.
I'm actually curious because obviously you guys have Mardi Gras every year, which is a huge event. How does that compare with a Super Bowl?
So for a Super Bowl, the majority of the folks that are attending the game don't live in New Orleans. There are some activities, whether it's the events, the fan experiences that are going on at the convention center, or some other activities in the downtown area. But Super Bowl is primarily for the teams and those fortunate enough to have a ticket and the corporate sponsors.
Yeah.
Mardi Gras is for everybody. Mardi Gras is the greatest free show on earth.
Yeah.
And Mardi Gras is not just a day. And Mardi Gras is not typically what you see on television outside of southern Louisiana, where you see wall-to-wall people on Bourbon Street. The Mardi Gras parade route's about 5.5 miles long, and we do 35 major parades in an 11-day period.
Wow. I'm just going to stop right there. 35 parades, 11-day period. You're scheduling, or you're writing an event action plan for all of these different parades, and you're having to consider that route, securing the route, making sure that people are safe, et cetera. I just want that to sink in for folks listening. That 35 huge parades, 5.5 mile long route, right? I mean, that's
right. And our ordinance says that the minimum number of floats you can have is 14.
See,
a minimum. They have a minimum.
Right? That's like those states that have a minimum speed limit on the freeway posted, right?
Yeah, you better go at least this
If you're going to be a parade, you better have at least.
You come to Mardi Gras, you better bring your float game.
I'll tell you what. Last night was one of the most fascinating things that I've learned. I love learning new things, right? And so we went and I hope that you correct what I'm about to say so that they get the proper credit. The Rex organization,
yes,
right? We went there. We saw the floats that were made for. Are they called floats?
Yes.
Okay. See, I don't want to mess this up now. We saw the floats that were made for this year's Mardi Gras, and I learned the history of Mardi Gras, and I saw photos of the queens, the kings, right, going back to the 1800s, right, and it sunk into me that, again, outside of Louisiana, we think Mardi Gras party, let's go, right? In Louisiana, this is a cultural, not just expectation, but it is a cultural pride, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's fascinating to me.
And the Rex organization is one of the oldest, or the oldest continually parading organization in the city. They parade on Mardi Gras Day, which is Fat Tuesday, the day before Ash Wednesday. and they're the last parade of the season. So they're number 35.
Got it.
Mardi Gras starts on January 6th every year, 12 nights after Christmas. On the Feast of the Epiphany is when Carnival season begins. Our major parade season is 2 weeks before Fat Tuesday. So we start the 2 Fridays before Fat Tuesday, and that's the 11-day period where we do 35 parades. So we are in the middle. The Carnival season is upon us. Super Bowl fell during Carnival season.
Interesting.
So, and it always does.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. The major parade season is still just over 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
I imagine the real-time crime center is probably all hands on deck during that time frame.
Yes, and we become an intelligence hub.
Okay.
During Mardi Gras. So there's only one fusion center in the state, and they're located in Baton Rouge, and they're operated by Louisiana State Police. However, during Mardi Gras, they leave a skeleton crew back in Baton Rouge, and we have analysts and troopers that come and embed here with us. On any given day, we have one intel analyst from the fusion center that is housed here, and she services just the 4 parish, which is our version of county in Louisiana, the 4 parish metropolitan region. So she's officed here, and she's got full access to all of our technology, and vice versa. We have access to all of the things that she has, and the investigative tools that she brings with her. But we have the Fusion Center. We have agents and analysts from the JTTF, with the FBI, Homeland Security Investigations, Coast Guard Intelligence, and the like. So we become kind of just an intelligence hub where we have state, local, and federal all in the same room.
Yeah. So when I was in Elk Grove, like many people across this country, the chief says, hey, we're going to open a real-time information center, real-time crime center. Go. Right? And so I'm thinking, 1, what the hell is that? Right? And 2, who do I call? What do I do? So I remember reaching out to the vendors that I was aware of that were out there in the space at all. And I said, hey, I need to go see some people, right? I need to learn from these people. So 2 names were given to me. One was Dalton in Fort Worth, right? And one was this guy named Ross, right, in New Orleans. And I'll be honest, until they told me your name and that you had a center, I had no idea who had centers, right? So it wasn't something that I was aware of. So I pitched this concept to both of you guys, and I've never asked either one of you this question, so I'm going to ask it on this episode. I pitched this concept of, hey, I want to get a bunch of us together and have this symposium, right? Just to talk about real-time stuff, because honestly, I'm tired of traveling around hoping I find the needle in the haystack, and I would love it if we had people come together to do it. So I called both of you. You both agreed to come. Elk Grove is typically not, don't hate me for this, Elk Grove city councilors, please. I love the city. It is typically not a destination city, right? We're not going to go there for vacation, generally speaking. Why'd you guys come? Because that was a kind of an out there thought, out there request, right? So why'd you guys come and do that symposium?
Well, much like you, when the mayor at the time put a glossy public-facing document with this public safety plan where they were going to spend all this money and buy crash-rated bollards and hazmat vehicles, there was one line in there: build or establish a centralized command center, and that was my direction to build this place. So I went online. I started calling folks. I was looking for some organization and there was none.
Yeah.
So, I did basically the same thing as you. I asked the vendors that I knew about in the space, and they referred me to St. Louis, Detroit, Chicago, and I was able to do a very quick, loop tour of the middle of the country, and see those centers and come back and take a little bit from each in order to get this place going.
Yeah. Mine, I realized what this was going to be. The future of law enforcement isn't a real-time crime center. It's just what it is with the way that technology is going. So I was very, very, involved in terms of we've got to get the word out about this.
Yeah.
This is just something revolutionary. It's not something that's just a fad. I'd already been talking to Chris Henningsen, who was our first president, as you well know, down in Scottsdale. And we kind of I think both of us kind of got wind of your symposium.
Yeah.
And, that's when we heard from you. And it just kind of all fell together.
Right?
Because I think all of us we all realized the same thing.
Yeah.
There's nobody else that's doing this. There's nobody else teaching any of this. So we've got to do something. It's kind of our responsibility to get the word out about what's going on. And
I remember Chris Henningsen asking me, hey, are you interested in starting an association? I'm like, no way. That's a lot of work, right? And you fast forward now, and the association's fantastic, right? And for those that don't know, 3 of us up here, as well as several other people, Jay Drazen from Orlando, we have Chris Henningsen and Nikki North from Flagler County. If I missed anybody, I'm really sorry. But we started the National Real-Time Crime Center Association with that whole concept in mind of let's help other people, right? Let's help them get the stuff.
And, it's something we had to do.
Yeah.
I think we had a responsibility.
I agree.
But, because you probably attested this as well, because we've gone to every one since it started.
Yeah.
Starting with last year, I think personally it's become the second biggest police conference, or the most important one outside of IACP.
It is a hell of a thing, right?
Yeah.
Because the concept is everybody's there for that reason.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
IACP is fantastic, right? You have a reason, you'll find your answer at IACP, right? But everybody that came to that conference, they came for a reason. And that even goes back just to the symposium. Everybody that was there in Elk Grove was there specifically for real-time policing reasoning, right? And it was a hell of a thing.
Right. And it is a niche that definitely needed an association and a group of folks that had the common interests and the shared goals and vision.
Yeah. Well, I will say this. Dalton and I abandoned you guys, but you're still on that board. So thank you. Thanks for still doing that. The industry needs it.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah. I want to transition into, for lack of a better term, man-made disasters, man-made mass casualty events, things like that, right? We would be remiss not to mention that you guys had a significant mass casualty event on January 1st in this city. And it was well into the night, where if you look at any crime center in America, most of them are not staffed at that hour.
Maybe not even open.
Right? Even at New Year's Eve, most of them aren't staffed and doing something. And to get somebody to respond may be tricky, right? And I haven't asked you about this at all yet, so I don't know if you guys are staffed or not. I assume you were, but I don't know that. Tell me how that impacted your center from when it happened, and just tell us, like, what did that do for you guys?
Well, our center's manned 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We're very fortunate to be a 24/7 center, and we've been so since 2018.
Okay.
So we have folks here around the clock.
Yeah.
We had a full shift of folks working. It was a tragedy. I'll tell you this much. New Orleans is a laid-back town. We're a small southern city, and that tragedy and the corresponding casualties that took place there, not in addition to the folks that lost their lives and the folks, dozens of folks that were injured, it was impactful.
Sure.
It struck New Orleans to its core. But New Orleans is a resilient city. We've come back from fires back in the hundreds of years ago. We've come back from natural devastation with Hurricane Katrina and a whole host of other natural disasters. New Orleans has proven this week that we can come back.
Yeah.
We might have gotten knocked down, but we did not get knocked out.
Yeah.
And because of the amount of coverage that we have in the French Quarter, specifically in the Bourbon Street corridor, our staff was able to immediately begin reviewing footage and providing that information to the responders in the field.
Yeah, and if I can talk to the significance of that alone, if you are a elected official that happens to be watching this podcast and you think, I don't want for my constituents to think that I'm in favor of putting technology up that's going to surveil them. I want those elected folks to hear what you just said and to think, do you want to stand in front of your community if something terrible like that happens and say, we were ready for that? Nobody wants it, but we were ready for that based on the technology we put out there. Because there's that difference of opinion, right? That whole concept of, should we have this technology out there in the wild? And honestly speaking, that's what it's for, right? That ability to be able to help solve something right now.
Right. And there was a lot of unknowns just after 3 a.m. on January 1st.
Yeah.
Whether it was how complex was the attack, how many people, and all of those. The FBI is the lead investigator, and they are working through all of that right as we speak. But were there any secondary targets? Was there any incendiary devices placed anywhere? Was something going to happen with the vehicle? So on and so forth. And we were able to provide that video. And over the course of the next 2 weeks almost, we were providing video from a whole host of cameras throughout the city back to our partners at the FBI and the local police in an effort to assist them in their investigation. And what we realized is, at that point, and obviously we've been open for 7 years, so our staff has been exposed to a lot. But we realized the significance that almost every member of our staff touched this incident. Because we were working on it from 3:15 in the morning on January 1st until about the middle of the month. So every person that we employed touched that incident. And we as a public safety community here in New Orleans, not only us in the Real-Time Crime Center, but police officers and firefighters and EMTs, we had to have a pretty quick response to the health and safety of our staff to make sure that they were okay. And our staff has witnessed some pretty horrific things that take place on these cameras and on this footage. But something like this is difficult to unsee.
I'm actually glad you're bringing this, because this is something that Jamie and I have talked about in the first season. And it's something that I admitted I was not very good at. I didn't have that appreciation. So I've heard this question a lot about, how do we keep an eye on our employees that may be seeing horrific things on camera? And I think it's probably a pretty big question going around right now in real-time crime centers.
And the we have a lot of folks that work for us that used to be dispatchers, and it's the same but different. The dispatchers are hearing those horrific.
They're creating the picture.
Right, and then they're on the phone with the caller perhaps, and they're hearing these horrific things that take place. Obviously, once the police get there, they disconnect the line a lot of times, and then they have to figure out what happened after that. But our staff, a lot of times, gets to see the whole event take place. So we need to, we as a community and as a profession, have to make sure that we keep the health and safety of our employees in the forefront, because you only can be exposed to so much before it gets to you.
Especially watching that and wanting to do something about it, wanting to get involved, but you just can't.
And staff wellness has to be paramount. Whether it's we were able to do a whole bunch of things pretty quickly. We were able to bring in some peer counselors. The Denver 911 Center has a very robust peer and support counselors, and they were able to do. They made themselves available via Zoom. And they have staff that work same types of shifts, so they were night shift, day shift, and they were able to do some Zoom stuff with our staff. Obviously, we brought in chaplains and social workers. We've even gotten visits by therapy and comfort dogs, and all of those things to make sure that our staff is able to to navigate through this.
Yeah.
Good on you.
Do you know it speaks to what you just mentioned? Speaks to the concept that real-time centering is a very fluid job, in the sense that you're responding to stuff, you're working stuff that it may be the routine, but it's generally not, right?
Right.
And you have to be, in my estimation, have to be willing, as executive staff of an agency that oversees a crime center, you have to be willing to think outside of a traditional manner in some respects, right? The fact that you had a 911 dispatch wellness, even if it wasn't a plan, pre-plan, you had that plan ready to go because it was offered. Somebody internally here, probably you, who knows, had to say, that's a good idea. Let's take advantage of that, right? Where, unfortunately, a lot of very traditional executives would go, no, we don't need to bring other people into our tragedy. We're going to figure this out internally. Or they just discount it altogether, right? Get on to the next call, work the next
Right.
call, right? So it just speaks to that. We continue to have to be fluid, and we do stuff that's not very traditional in real-time crime centering, in my opinion.
And not every real-time crime center is the same.
That's for sure.
And I preach that as I talk to my colleagues at the in the National Real-Time Crime Center Association. Just because we do it differently doesn't make us better.
That's right.
Every crime center is responding to the needs of their community.
Yeah, and if you are a chief executive who is listening to this, you've probably heard what you just said, Ross, 1,000 times. And I hope that it resonates with every executive that wants to build a crime center. Do not cookie cutter another crime center. Go out there and see what fits your agency.
Yeah.
And I've said this, and if you've heard me say this, I apologize, but you don't have to build a real-time crime center to do real-time crime center work.
That's right.
If you have someone who has access to the CAD on a laptop, who has a portable radio, and has some level of cameras or license plate readers in your jurisdiction,
Yep.
you can do real-time crime center work. You don't have to have a building. You don't have to have a fancy video wall to do that work.
Yeah.
It's
so
hilarious
funny. Yeah.
because we always preach, no crime center is the same. That answer is the same across every crime center director and manager I've ever
Practically
come across.
100% of the people that have done this will say that exact same thing. Yet people still keep building crime centers.
Yeah, it's funny. And if you got the money,
Yeah, there's nothing wrong
you
with
have
it.
to spend it.
Yeah,
Spend it.
absolutely.
And
That's what your community needs.
Absolutely. But if you don't know, it is very inexpensive to try it out.
That's right. Proof the concept.
Build the
right?
need first.
Yeah. So for one, I hope the gravity hits the folks that see this, but we're literally here the day before the Super Bowl. So taking your time out to do this with us is sincerely appreciated, right?
It's my pleasure.
It's this is a crime center that is in fact unique, and it is something that one, I enjoy seeing it every time I see it, and I'm just a crime center nerd, but I love this particular crime center. Two, it is unique in where it falls bureaucratically, right, within the organizational structure of a city government. And so to that extent, I encourage people to reach out to you and your staff to learn about your situation here, because there are cities across this country that really should likely replicate what you do here, right? To some extent, right? Just as far as that structure goes. But the last piece is, your January 1st event is fresh, and it's something that nobody wants to work. And when it happened here, I knew immediately, I know who's working this right now, and I know what they have, and I know what they're going to be able to do. And that was kind of neat to know from across the country. Mm-hmm. I know this crime center. If any crime center is going to kick the ass of this event, it's this one.
Well,
it's what it is. Yeah, it's what it is. Any last thoughts?
No, this has been great. And like Jamie said, to repeat that, we really appreciate you letting us come in here the day before the Super Bowl and talk to you about this. So we sincerely appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. And, on behalf of our entire staff here, I get to do fun things like this, and I get to talk about it. But the real work is being done by a team of about 30 people that are dedicated public servants, and public safety officials that do this work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I thank them.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Amen.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we
you.
appreciate it.